You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders because everybody just is sort of steamrolling towards the idea that Antonio Pierce is going to be a slam dunk head coach, and he's going to be named the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, it is certainly true. Mark Davis is very aware of the fact he probably should have hired Rich Bisaccia because there was some success, and obviously the Raiders players certainly responded to that success they had in that team. They thought he was going to get the job, and Mark Davis decided to pivot and go with Josh McDaniels. I think that move alone, in part, lost some of the locker room right off the bat. I do believe that. Now, of course, Pierce is 4-4. The team has looked so much better, particularly on defense under Antonio Pierce. Got some big wins. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs win certainly catches some attention, but you're out of the postseason now. Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, national championship game, but make no mistake, he is still very, very interested in the idea of coming to the NFL and finishing what he believes is the ultimate prize, which is a Super Bowl. And I've told you guys, I'm a Niners fan. I'm also a Michigan fan. I've had a lot of Harbaugh. 15 years of Jim Harbaugh. And I've always said, and you've heard me say this, if he's your coach, you love him. You love the guy. The players love him. It's obvious how much the players love him. And I've said about this job, and Antonio Pierce probably should get this job. But if you get a chance to get Jim Harbaugh, all bets are off. All bets are off. If you can get Jim Harbaugh, the one thing he has proven, and I'll continue to say, look, the Niners were in a 10-year-long disaster. He come in, he flipped that program within one season. All right, started winning. NFC championship games, made it to a Super Bowl. The man won at Stanford, folks, and that I continue to say that's Jim's most impressive feat, is the fact that he won ball games, so many ball games, at Stanford. All right, and strict academic standards, developed Andrew Luck, the whole deal, the whole nine. Fact is, if Jim Harbaugh comes to the Las Vegas Raiders, they will be in the playoffs. My gut feeling is mainly every year. They will be in the playoffs, and within 3 years, AFC championship contenders. I'm just being real here. That's how I feel about Harbaugh. The man can coach football. It doesn't matter what program or at what level he's at. That's what he does. He turns around programs. And now there is a lot of fire. A lot of fire. Some of this fire, and I'm just gonna be real, let's start here. Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, as he navigates his future, Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh has hired Don Yee, the longtime agent for Tom Brady and Sean Payton, sources say. Jim's never, generally speaking, he doesn't keep an agent. But I think it's very interesting considering the connective tissue between the Michigan program, Tom Brady. Jimmy Garoppolo is also a client of Don Yee, all right? And, of course, Mark Davis and that relationship with Tom Brady. A notable move with NFL teams once again weighing the pursuit of Harbaugh, who is preparing for the college football semifinal against Alabama. We know he's now won that game. So, this has come out. Per Albert Breer of SI, Burt Breer, veterans such as Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, and Max Crosby are likely to show support for interim head coach Antonio Pierce. That would come as a little surprise, given the latter's success after taking over. While the Raiders are out of postseason contention, Pierce has strengthened his case to have the interim tag removed based on the team's record and improved play. Breer adds, however, that Davis may, quote, may have a big swing in him. Keep in mind, Jim Harbaugh once coached with the Raiders. With respect to his next coaching hire, when the organization was in a similar position, John Gruden's replacement, Rich Bisaccia, was not retained. Davis now regrets bringing in McDaniels instead of keeping Bisaccia. The 2024 offseason will provide him an opportunity to take a different path by rewarding Pierce with a full-time position. Other candidates with more pedigree will be available in the upcoming hiring cycle, though. So, and I think one of the things that concerns Mark Davis is the lack of pro coaching experience that Antonio Pierce has got. Pierce's NFL coaching career began just last season when he was hired as a Raiders linebackers coach. The 45-year-old is thus lacking experience compared to a candidate such as Jim Harbaugh, the latter having been leaked to an NFL return following the end of the college season, and the Raiders have been floated as a potential landing spot. Harbaugh, who recently hired an agent, had a successful run with the Niners before his current stint at Michigan. Go look up his record at Stanford, folks. It's very interesting. It is very successful, and I still say that is his best shot. We got another article right here talking about the fact that he hired Don Yee as his longtime agent, and that Tom Brady, of course, is one of Don Yee's clients. So, and then last night you had Tom Brady. Of course, he was celebrating the Michigan win right here, and he lost his ever-loving mind. Now, let's go! In case you didn't hear, on the podium, Jim Harbaugh was praising J.J. McCarthy, but Harbaugh made a serious point and drove it home that he believes Tom Brady is the GOAT of all GOATs and the greatest of all time. He said he's the GOAT. He's lapped the others, he said several times. That was his words. Now this is Ian Rappaport.
The Las Vegas Raiders, who still have a head coach and still have a chance at the playoffs, are expected to have some interest in Harbaugh. Harbaugh is expected to have some interest in the Raiders. Now, they're also set to do a real search, not a anointing like they did last time with John Gruden, so we'll see where the search takes him. But at the least, there is enough interest on both sides to make us think this is at least somewhat real, though as one source who's very well informed of this told me last night, Harbaugh loves to be courted. So we'll see where this goes.
That's going to be interesting. I do not know what in the world his relationship is like with Mark Davis. All right. As of right now, I don't. But this article right here, this is Raiders Beat, and it talks about the fact that two big-name coaches seem to be in the mix for this job. An NFL Network report on Sunday brought up Jim Harbaugh and John Gruden, and we know both have strong ties to Raiders owner Mark Davis. So evidently Harbaugh's got some significant ties. I'm sure going back to the days he was coaching with the team. I guess he was a quarterback's coach back then. It's been a lot of years. But, of course, there's got to be some kind of relationship there. But this is interesting. Davis is a big believer that you need a big name in Las Vegas. And his two coaches there so far, John Gruden and McDaniels, fit the bill. Who could it be this time? Bill Belichick is certainly one if he becomes available, though it's hard to imagine a return to the Patriot way would play well in the locker room after McDaniels' 9-16 stint. I don't see Belichick being a snowball's chance in hell there. After if McDaniels never got hired, yeah, I could totally see Belichick. Now, after Josh McDaniels and that dumpster fire, no. I've said no, that's not going to happen. Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh, a former Raiders assistant coach, would qualify. And Davis still loves Gruden, who hasn't taken a full-time coaching role yet since his resignation from the Raiders in 2021. The report from NFL Media's Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero was notable because it said Pierce was not a slam dunk to get the job. And that was before they lost to the Colts the other day. So it's getting interesting here. It is getting interesting with the Raiders and Jim Harbaugh. I don't know how serious that's going to end up being, but look, regardless of how much you like Antonio Pierce, if you know Jim Harbaugh's available, don't you have to at least talk to him? I think you got to. I seen a poll, and I could not find it. I tried to find it, that had various coaching candidates on it, and Raiders fans answered it. Look, that poll was pro Antonio Pierce with every name on there. But when it got to Jim Harbaugh, it was a 50-50 split. And I was like, oh, hell. Literally split the fan base if you hire Jim Harbaugh or if you hire Antonio Pierce and don't hire Jim Harbaugh. One thing's clear, and I'm hearing it a lot this morning, Harbaugh is the number one guy out there now. He is the number one guy. And unlike the last couple of years where he's flirted very heavily, he wasn't really the number one guy. Plus, Sean Payton was out there. D'Amico Ryans was real hot, all right? Harbaugh is the dude this year, all right? I guess to a lesser extent, Belichick could be too, but Harbaugh's a lot younger than Belichick. Belichick's age is hurting him, and where he stands with offensive football in this day and time is hurting Belichick as well. Harbaugh, if he wants to come back, this probably needs to be the year. Made it to a national championship game. If he wins it, I mean, look, it's Chargers. It's the Raiders. I still wonder if I'm Robert Kraft, why in the world wouldn't you hire Jim Harbaugh? If you're moving on from Belichick, you bring in Jim Harbaugh, the Patriots are good again. Any of these teams will be good within 2 years. I mean, it'll be a quick turnaround. Offensive, defensive line will be very damn good. The running game will be very damn good. And he can certainly turn a lot of quarterbacks into competent NFL quarterbacks. Alex Smith, full-blown bust with the Niners. He was a historic bust with the 49ers. And Jim Harbaugh saved that career. And then he went on to make some money with the Kansas City Chiefs. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.